care about. Does that make sense? Right? Yes. So, this is why I think us here in the United States, even more than other countries, is so important. Your spirituality. Because your spirituality, it is that. It is just to understand what are you good at? What is what you desire? What do you want in life? And if you can get that going, things get easier for you. Right? I can tell you for me, in my experience, you want to come and say hi? Come. Come. I don't get too many hugs in my life, so that's good. Thank you.
Good morning, Rabbi.
Good afternoon, my friend.
Good afternoon, my friend.
There you go. So, when I was younger, right, I wanted to be a fireman. I looked not down. I was like, why? What I wasn't thinking to become a fireman. I don't like fire. I don't like to carry things. I hate people suffering. And that's probably what I was going to see throughout my career as a fireman. But I thought more about the benefits of it. Right? You know, the good job. You work 3 days in, 4 days out. You get paid decent, not great, but decent. The uniform, I would look good, you know. But that's it, you know. And I just saw more like we call that, and I want you to learn this, more like a finite, finite game, like a game that has a beginning and an end, a beginning and an end. There's two type of games: infinity, right? Like it's always there, and one that is finite, that has a beginning and an end. When you see life like just with a beginning and end, then you always are doing things to win, things who are good for you. So it's more of an ego, because I want to win, I want to become better, I want to have money, I want to do this, and those have a beginning and end. There's rules to it in order to do it, like a sports, right? In sports you have rules, and you have to play throughout the rules, and you know at the end of the game you should have a winner or a loser. Most of the sports. Soccer is not like that, but most of the sports do have that idea, like baseball or basketball, right? But what about the other type of game? The infinity type of games. Those are the ones you just do it because it's pleasurable. Like there's no context against Van Gogh versus Picasso. We cannot say Picasso won or Van Gogh won. No. Will they have rules? No. They all painted in a different way. I didn't care. That type of game is the game that you should play with your core of your life. You should live life because you pleasure living. Yes, sometimes you have to play to win. And that's with business, politics, sports, you just want to have that. But when it comes to your life, you want to have just for the pleasure. So when we talk about Bible, for example, when I do commandments, I can do it two different ways. I can say, because I'm being good, I'm gonna get good things. See, that's you want to win. Because I am kind to everybody, the universe will be kind to me. Yeah, because you want to win. And there is, for example, I'm going to be good to you until one day because later on I'm not need you anymore, or you left, I don't have to think of you anymore, and now I end with your friendship or whatever. See, that's our infinity type of games. Infinity is I do Shabbat because it's pleasurable to me, not because it does anything else to me. And even though I'll get benefits of it, because you will get benefits of it, that's not the point. The point is pleasurable. Imagine if you would choose your jobs for pleasurable more than for money. You will become the greatest in what you do. And with something that didn't have that much money, because a lot of money, like painters don't get a lot of money. But when there's so much pleasure and art on it, they can become millionaires. So that's the idea here. So when I talk about your personalities, I want you to see them as your keys, as your cars to pleasurable things. When you play this game in affinity way, more by loss, who wins and who loses, these 9 personalities become demons. Yeah, they become against you. But if you see them like, oh, I am the helper and have pleasure helping, he lives in heaven.
But accepting it would be a step further.
Yes.
You realize,
Yeah. You have to know.
and that would be marvelous.
It would be marvelous, right? Like, I see it in soccer, like I was playing last week and I had this guy who was playing halfback, but he wanted to be a forward. He probably was a forward more than a halfback, but we needed a halfback. He wanted to win by himself, right? And in a team, you have to lose sometimes to win, right? So he didn't want to stay in the position, and so eventually, somebody else replaced him because you're not playing in by the rules of it. So you have to know your rules of your personality. So you have personality 1, 2, 3, 4. Now we're going to 5. Is that true? Yeah? All right, let me see. All right. So we're going to do personality 5. Anybody here is personality 5? No? Okay. You are 5? Okay. All right. So the personality 5s they become the observers. They do not want to waste their time in things that they don't like to do. So they are the ones who would do whatever it is to be done for what they want to do, but they would not like to share their time, their energy to things that they do not want to do. That's their personality. So we always talk about famous people like Albert Einstein. He was a 5. So he was great at mathematics. He wasn't that a good father. He had a hard time with that, so he decided not to do it. Why? I'm not good at it. So you know what? I'll ignore that. And
It's not a bad concept, but the thing is, it's your child. You're responsible. But
so he says, I'm not a good husband. Then I won't do that. I'll continue doing what I do well, which is I'm the greatest mathematician probably existed. So, that's what I'll do. He couldn't tie his shoes. He couldn't tie his shoes. So you know what he did? Agarraron chanclas. He got open toe type of sandals. That way he solved the problem. He received his Nobel Prize on sandals.
it just shows you that what he saw that was time consuming,
Yeah.
he didn't care.
Yeah, he didn't know how to drive. So he got a bicycle. He never wanted to drive. Why? And so it looks good in many ways, but he's going to have a hard time with social things. Right? Because he becomes more as an observer instead of doing the action. So he knows how it goes. He knows how a father should be, how a husband should be, how to tie your shoes. He knows it, but he doesn't want to do it because for him it's not important. And so, en español le llamamos avaro, que sería como stingy. Not stingy. Yeah, I'm stingy. Yeah, selfish is a good word, but it's another word. Avaricia. I don't know how to say it in English, that one. Anybody knows? Avaricia. It's like you're kind of stingy with, you want everything for you. So, para el mismo. So there's a parable about that, right? A parable about this guy who was like that, he was stingy like that, he wanted everything for him. And there was another guy who was envious, everything. So they were praying to God, both of them. And so the one who wanted everything for him would say, God, please, give me everything to me. Don't listen to any other prayer. I need all of it. Whatever you're going to give to everybody, just give it to me. I'm the one who has the need. That's how I used to pray. The one who was envious about it, listen to it. He says, if you give him something, do not give anything to me. We say the other one, because every people don't want nothing for you. Actually, people who are jealous, most of the time they're kind people. They're just insecure. People who are envious, they're evil, because they don't want you to be okay, even though they're not okay either. They just don't want you to be okay. That's envy. Right? So, anyway, they were praying like that. And then God got upset. He's like, oh my God, this guy, he sent an angel, right? He says, talk to them. So the angel comes and says, listen, God is upset with you guys. He's tired of your prayers. So you know what? He decided to do this for you. Whoever, you can ask whatever you want. But whoever asks first, right? And whoever has first, the second will have. No, he says. Yeah, no. He says something like, hold on. Spanish. Yeah, Spanish is easier. Let me see. He goes. Yeah, whoever asks second, the first one will get twice. Right? And so the guy said, oh, the one who got whatever, he said, I'll go first, because that means I'm going to get double with the other guy too. Whatever he gets, I'm getting it too. So he asked, right? And so the second one says, what do you want? He says, I want you to cut one of my arms and one of my legs and one of my eye. So that's envious. That's what envy is. I mean, he just doesn't want the other one to get anything at all, right? So that's the idea. Okay, so this one has a little bit of that, but not so much on things, but on his time, and his most personal things. So something good about them, when they're in a good state, these number fives, they are very insightful. They're self-sufficient. They are very intelligent, very disciplined for themselves. When they become very tension, there's a tension in them, okay? Or they get anxiety. They're very analytical. They detach. And that's something that you have to take it, you don't want to be having attachments, but you don't want to be detached of the situation. So they can become very non-feeling. Somebody's sick and they go, oh, well, things happen. Too bad. That's something that they're insensitive, yeah. They could be very aloof. Right? Aloof in it. They withhold things. Very withholding. They don't like to give too much information about them. That's what a fight does. Now, when they're really bad though, like something's wrong with them, like things are going the wrong way for them, they're very abstract. They see things very like misery. Misery is part of their way of torture. They are out of touch. and they reject social contact. That's the personality. So in my example that I gave you, right, about personalities, he's the one who goes to the party. He gets invited, he'll go. He has no problem talking to people. But if they're talking and then they just leave him alone for a little while because they went to get a drink or something, they have a book, they have something else, and they'll sit down and maybe watch look at their telephone and read and do. And if nobody talks to them all night, it's fine by them. And when it's time to go, he will go, that was a great party. And they go. But they just don't have that attachment to the social side of things. Okay? So these guys, one of their blessings, because you have to know your blessings, right? You need to know the strengths of your personality. They love to experiment. They like to explore. They love to learn. They're independent and self-sufficient. So they're good at that. And they love to teach their inside things. So whenever they learn a secret or something, they love to give it. One of the hard things that they have is the interaction with other people sometimes. Makes them uncomfortable. They get it very engrossed with thoughts, so they think a lot of thoughts are coming to them all the time. And so they lose reality because they're thinking too much. You know, we are in a society that think that having a lot is better, right? But actually, having less is better, honestly. But we have a hard time with that because we always like to gather things. And whatever is in the upper world is in the physical world. It's the same idea. So having a lot of thoughts is going to freeze you. They're going to freeze your life because you're only thinking. So when you think about all the characters in the characters of Winnie the Pooh, right? If you think about them, you have a rabbit who is very anxious, always thinking about his carrots and about his field and what he's going to eat and all that. And you have Igor, who's always thinking about his feelings and about all the bad things that happened to him. Or no? And you have Tigger, who thinks he's the only one. He totally believes that. You have an owl who thinks that he knows it all, but he has no idea what he's saying. You have Piglet, who is fear incarnated. And you have Kangaroo, who has double personality or multi-personalities. Kangaroo. Who is next? Christopher Robin, who is a schizophrenic, because he talks to these animals that doesn't exist. Right? Who else are I missing? That's it. And then Winnie the Pooh, who is the idiot of the whole thing. Which one would you like to be? Tigger? Ninguno. Anybody? You have to choose one of those characters. Well, of course, yeah. What is it? Christopher Robin? Yeah, okay. Well, actually, in the cartoon, you want to be Winnie the Pooh. Because he doesn't know what's going on most of the time. But he has an idea at the beginning of each cartoon what he wants. Honey. So he goes to look for the honey. Igor loses his tail. Right? And then Rabbit is stuck in a hole. And he goes and he helps everybody. Not really wanting to help. But he's there, so he decides to do it. But at the end of the story, he always eats his honey. Do not complicate your life. The more you complicate it, you become everybody else but Winnie the Pooh. Winnie the Pooh looks like an idiot, but he's the only one who is making it in the whole cartoon. And that is this month. This month, the moon, Elul, is the month of non-complicated things. Do not complicate your life. Why are you doing that? Fives complicate their lives because they do everything inside their heads and they're not doing anything outside. There's always thinking inside what could happen, not happen. Life is miserable, life is horrible, and nothing is happening outside. They have like stuck with those thoughts. So, because they're not stingy by nature, they're not like egocentric by nature. They're not. They could be very kind, but because they're so stuffed with all those thoughts, they giving to others time, space, and resources is not easy for them. So it's like if Winnie the Pooh decides not to help Eager, right, and goes to look for his honey and forget about the tail of Eager. Then the cartoon has no meaning. Because what makes the meaning is he connecting with the other animals without him really worrying too much. It's one of those days today. So, how does a fight look sometimes? He looks like the romantic one. So he falls in love and can't get out. Even though he's really not a romantic person. But he's stuck because one of his wings is the 4. So he becomes very melancholic. But it's like an oxymoron because he's kind of like a scientist who works on neurotransmitters that give you the sense of love. He knows it. He knows there are chemicals. But when he's going in the rough time, he becomes the 4, stuck with things, even though he knows they're not really that real. Or he becomes the 6. That means he's looking he wants to feel like he's loyal. He has done everything in his power to keep everybody, and everybody messes him up. Those are the wings of the 5. What do you think about that one, guys? You didn't like that one? Huh? Yeah. Well, it's because one of your wings for you. And the opposite, right? So when the 5 is positive, it becomes outgoing. He could be a good leader. When he is not positive, he can retain knowledge of things. In other words, he knows things. In order to keep you down, he will not tell you. That's how crazy he can go. And he will gain revenge on you. So he has that mean streak.
That's not really revenge if you don't tell them.
But if they get hurt along
No. Yeah, but you gain revenge. I mean, you're gain revenge. So it goes, you may become an antagonistic, cruel, using your knowledge to retain authority and to gain revenge. Of course, not all the fights are like this, but this is just extremes. I'm giving you like extremes of things that could happen to them. They become very restless. They look for a lot of successful things, but they never seem to find them. They change a lot of the topics of their lives. They're always changing topics. They get easily distracted to find that it's fine it's hard for them to stay on task. In a positive trait, they could be very playful, spontaneous. A lot of They can imagine things, a lot of imagine things. So let's see what happens when you were a child. Maybe that helped you a little bit. You're a 5 to understand that. Your parents were more invasive, not respecting your boundaries or your space. What is that? Explain to me that sentence. What does it mean to you when your parents were invasive? What is invasive?
In your face.
In your face. And not respecting your boundaries or your space.
You don't respect your proxemics. You're broken your bubble every time.
Making you do things you didn't want.
Exactly. Making you do things you didn't want to do.
You go places you didn't want.
Places you didn't want to go when you were a child. Did that happen to you, my friend?
Yes.
Yeah. You're a pure fighter, huh? Yeah, it happens. It's funny because what is hard for you, it is my security for me. Because I'm a 7. See, I'm a 7? Look at my line. It goes to a what? To a 5. So when I need security, I become a 5. More analytical, more books, more.
You like to read books and you enjoy it.
Yeah. But what I'm saying, that's my security blanket. And when I'm really stressed, I become a 1. So I start picking on everybody. So in your case, your 5 is an 8 and a 7. So when you are happy, like complete, you're like a 7, spontaneous, like party hard, let's have a good time, let's enjoy ourselves. If you're feeling okay. If you're feeling like attack, you become an 8. And 8 are nasty. They could be the ones who like, what? I'm here and what? They're like, they really go, they're very strong. The 8s are very strong characters. They don't mess around. The 8s. So, you see the difference how we read these things? The lines gives you securities and stresses. The wings gives us behaviors that you can go. Any question about that? All right. So you did well in school and were appreciated for your grades and your study habits. So you might have done that one. You experienced your parents as withdrawn, emotionally stingy, so you became withdrawn and stingy toward yourself and others. So you didn't get that much affection from your parents, and so you decided not to do the same thing. So you became stingy to other people. So here's a psychological one for you. I think you understand this one. So when it comes to our pleasures, some of us are doers and some of us are observers. That's how we get our pleasures. For example, I know people, they don't play a sport at all. You give them a ball and they go like that. They don't even know what to do. But they know, they love baseball, they love soccer, they stay all day, they know the statistics, they enjoy it. That's the observer. They pleasure about observing. So they see a movie of love and they feel the love and I think that's enough. And then you have people who are like action-based. They hate watching the sport on TV, but you will see them playing outside and doing the sport, or having a relationship that in the movies you only see it. They want to do it in action. So you have to be careful, because the observers can become very addicted by just looking. So pornography could be a problem for observers. Not only 5s, 7s, 5s, and 3s are observers. They're analytical, right? Not that they all watch porn. I'm not saying that, but just an idea. Because pornography, we might not like it, we think or whatever, it is a connection in the brain.
Isn't the brain a big sex organ?
Yeah. Other people can't seem to care. Does it make sense? So, and again, I want to make sure that as we talk this, I'm not saying this is good or bad. This is not my position to me. I can tell you what it does to your brain, things, and you can make the decision of what it is, like alcohol. Like, for example, I'm going to give you an example of what happened to me 2 weeks ago because I've been studying with some neurologists because of the machine that we have. I had to know some things that as a psychologist, I didn't study those things. And so I have neurologists, and I'm going to be in Arizona next week in a conference, right? And so I was talking to this guy, and he told me, so when you have when you have a patient, right, that you're trying to alleviate or to relax their brain, he tells me, you know what is the worst thing you can do to the brain when it comes to that? And I thought about everything, but I never thought about this one. And marijuana is the number one that makes your brain makes you not relax. And you would think the opposite, because I was like, I have a lot of my patients who tell me, I smoke marijuana, and okay. It's not heroin, right? Okay, good. We're going the right way, right? Because I don't see it like an evil thing. But then when I saw it in the brain, it clamps. Your brain clamps. Like it's restricted. And so you do not release anything. And so you have no motivation whatsoever. The pleasures are very like, all the time. And you would think that you were smoking this thing because you want to feel better. And then for a moment, because it's external, it feels like, kind of like when they do a back massage. Let's say you have a sport problem with like in tennis, right, the shoulder, and they're not good. You feel when they do the massage, and you feel okay. You're like, oh, that feels great. But the moment you leave the place, it's there. That's what marijuana does. It kind of relaxes you in the moment, but it doesn't allow your brain to be relaxed.
Rabbi, is it because of the neural cortex and the brain transmitters are damaged and it will never repair itself again? And the more you do it,
Marijuana does not destroy your brain, but what it does is
But it damages, doesn't it?
yeah, it's going to damage it in the sense that it's not going to allow you to feel.
That's it, right there.
Yeah.
What it does, it allows you not to feel.
Not to feel externally.
Yes.
And so when your neurotransmitter has to come out, like serotonin, that's why you smoke marijuana, because you want to feel peace. You want to feel relaxed. Because it's external, then your brain decides not to take it out automatically. And now you're in trouble. Because you're going to need more and more. And you might need to get into other drugs because you have a hard time with that. But see, I didn't see that. Until I saw it in the because I was more like, it's like a smoking, not good for you, but not as bad.
Does that affect oxytocin also? In the end? Is it bad for oxytocin also?
It's bad to anything that the brain needs to release. So you start non-caring. Oxytocin is a caring hormone. Your baby, when it's a baby, it releases that. You know that, the baby. That's why everybody goes, oh, the baby, so beautiful, even though they're ugly. Oh, they're so good. Why? Because it's taking the oxytocin out, and you are getting it. That's why you like to hug them and smell them. We are made of chemicals. In a balance, chemicals is the key, right? So I'm just saying to you that an observer is getting his pleasure from the outside. Get it? It's from the outside. The one who is more action-based is getting his pleasure from the inside. An observer will say, man, having $1 million would be, and they start thinking. They spend the money. They did everything in that moment as they were thinking about $1 million. The one who's action-based go, I'm going to go buy a ticket on the lottery. I can think about it, but I'm going to go buy the ticket. See, I'm a 7. I'm an observer. So I go out and I think about it. I says,
You
man,
wouldn't buy the ticket
I want to buy the ticket because I already got my pleasure.
because at the baseball game and I bought the 50-50, it was up to 22 to 28,000. I bought $50 worth of it. But I just calculated as the odds versus buying the lotto, they were less populous. It was 57,000, and I don't know.
Oh, but
I did get gratification.
But that's an action. Yeah,
That's
but
an action base.
that's an action base. So that's why Torah is an action base. It's not an observer base. So you can say, I observe Shabbat. Algo is to be in Shabbat.
And enjoy it.
Yeah. So you have to be careful. Your brain is very shy. I've seen brains very shy. Now that I do this, they hide. They hide on you. They keep things locked. I have another patient that couldn't sleep, and then she got treatment in the second stage. She started to have nightmares. She couldn't sleep though, but now she was sleeping but having nightmares. It is because his right side, there was a wall of magnetic field of your neurons, so it did not allow her thoughts to come out. The moment that the brain relaxed, they all came out, and it came out at night in her sleep. And so we're still having a nightmare. So when you have a nightmare, it's a stuck thought that is keeping you, that is not, you're not manifesting. So your personality has to do, for example, you can be a 7, you got hit in a car, you become a 3. Because your brain changes the personality. A 3 is the one, yes, el triunfador, but that's the guy that is, he's, well, it's another, let me see here. Let me take the word. He will be more like the achiever. So he sees everything like achievement. So he'll show you the car, but not just the car. He just, I got the car because I achieved something. Yeah, that's a 3. So he likes more a car than a house, because the car he can show around more than a house. He likes more business attire than just any attire, because he can show more of his jewelry. He's into showing things. This is how he values himself. It's like your style. You have you might have a style of how you dress. That's a little bit of a 3, because you're taking care of that one. All right.
Cool insight to the obsessiveness.
Obsessing on things, yeah. So, Kabbalah will say to you that drugs are not wrong. They just do the opposite of what you want. Drugs will not allow you to feel. That's why you take an aspirin. Why? You don't want to feel the pain. That's why you take it. Take a Tylenol. Still a drug. A good one sometimes if you have if something hurts. And you take it, you feel like, oh, I feel better. But when it comes to your emotions, which is your core of who you are, you need to feel. And you're scared to feel. And that's why we take all the other things. So an observer, that's what I needed to say to that. So then, anything else I can tell you about this? But it's that observing that allows them to be scientists, to be intelligent, because they really pay attention to that. So if I was a 5, what kind of personality you think matches with me? If I was a 5. A 7, yes, a 7 could do. Yeah, a 7 would do it in the sense that a 7 is so happy all the time. He's going to take you places with you, and he's like, I don't know, no, you come with me. That's a 7, the enthusiastic. But I think the best thing for a 5 is a 2. He needs a lot of help
Oh, to match up with.
to match with.
Oh, I misunderstood, I didn't hear that part.
See, a 7 hates 2s. 7 doesn't like to be helped. They're like, leave me alone. Let me be. That's a 7. But a 5, somebody has to tie the shoes.
So that's who Einstein married, somebody who,
But you know, I'm gonna finish with that. Do you know the first wife of Einstein? You know the story of Einstein, Albert Einstein? So he didn't do that good in school. Okay, when I say he did that good, he was better than all of us together, okay? That's not what I'm saying. He wasn't taking F's. He just now wasn't that,
enthused about the class. And his teacher,
he
he
was,
was ahead.
no, he was not a genius. At least he didn't show that.
Right.
But because he was a 5, he observed things. And then he observed about time. In his head, he knew that time was not, it was relative. That time is not a straight line. That everybody has their own time. He didn't know how to do it though. He needed math. He was into theory more than into math. Math was boring to him. He married somebody who did the math for him. The wife was a great mathematician. And she did the formulas for him. Of course, in his idea, right? So he knew math, but she had to do the math. You had to do the math. She did it for him. And when he got it, he divorced her. Yeah, typical 5. Huh?
So he learned math from her?
No. They both were mathematicians, but he needed help.
He did the work.
He did the work. You need to have the work.
He knew the end, but
Right.
he needs somebody to.
He knew the answer, but you need somebody to put it together. And she did it for him.
So he was point A, but she showed it to her to the B.
He was point Z, and she went A, B, C, D, E, F, G to get to Z.
He knew the answer, but not the formula.
Yeah, that's the formula.
She got the formula.
Huh?
He didn't know the word.
He didn't want to do it.
Yeah, that's just it. He didn't want to do the
The
work.
answers were not the formula.
Yeah, because he was into his things. I mean, think about it. A genius is somebody, right, who takes a paper in science, for example, if it's science, and it's something that is like, wow, like something out of the ordinary. He did 5 in 1 year. 5. I mean, that's like, never again will that happen. But all his 5, he needed a girl. And it was a girl. The second wife was the same. His lover was the same. He needed 2s. It's funny, huh? So sometimes, in his genius, he knew how to choose. Not very romantic, right? Or maybe or loyal or ethical or moral. But the 5s were his. He knew how to choose. So again, what I'm trying to tell you is we are giving just what a personality is, and then we're going to talk about Torah, and then how to fix your 5, how to make it useful for you. Because I told you, your personalities can become demons. You can struggle with them, or they could be your angels and help you. Does it make sense? All right, so we finish now number 5. See you next week. All right. Have a nice day. The 5 and every other personality. All right. Take it easy. Yeah.